What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to 1TS Daily right here at One True Sport. I'm your host, Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media. Good to see everybody. Hopefully everybody had a great long holiday weekend with family, friends, or just by yourself. Either way, hopefully you had a wonderful long weekend. And there certainly was a lot of professional wrestling over the weekend. And man, we're going to get to all of it here and get to some of the big stories of the day, big stories of the weekend, and just chat a little pro wrestling. We're live here with 1TS Daily right here on One True Sport every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, except when there is a holiday like yesterday. So we were off yesterday. But yeah, other than that, you can catch us here live every single day talking with you about professional wrestling. I can't believe it. We've done nearly 60 episodes of this show since the 1TS, since One True Sport began a couple months ago, which is just crazy. So thank you guys for making it happen. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day and part of your your pro wrestling fix, if you will. Hello to everybody who's listening on YouTube. Hello to everybody who's listening and watching on Twitter, and to our One True Sport members who are listening to this and taking this in as an audio podcast. Hello to you guys as well. Thanks so much. If it's your first time checking the show out, thank you. And as we do for starting every single episode here, if you could hit like on the video, that helps us out big time. Helps us out just in the YouTube algorithm and just, in the algorithm world in general. Likes help, comments help. So please do that. If you haven't subscribed to One True Sport on YouTube, I highly recommend you do that as well. Not just for this show, which you can catch every single day, but also just because of the other really wonderful shows that are for free up here on the One True Sport YouTube channel with some really great hosts, but also some of the biggest pro wrestling legends that we've ever seen. RVD, Arn Anderson, Medusa, Kurt Angle, the list goes on and on and on, and you get access to them with by just subscribing to One True Sport for free. So hit that subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. If you head over to onetruesport.com, you can check out all of our membership options and our membership tiers. That is the way to kind of take One True Sport to the next level. If you want even more access to those stars, you're going to have to be a One True Sport member. That also allows you to download all these shows that we do here on YouTube as audio podcasts. If you want to take us on the road or take us to the gym or to work or whatever, you can do that as a One True Sport member. As I said, we've got 3 different tiers at different price points. So hopefully there's something there for everybody. You can also check out our merch store at onetruesport.com. We got some 1TS Daily merch, folks. 1TS Daily, some of the best looking merch out there. Pick yours up. But also merch from all of our stars and all of our shows. So it's onetruesport.com. Live chat's open for those of you who are filing in to listen to the show live on YouTube. We also have our super chats open as well. And that should allow you to contribute to the show here, but also toss a little a contribution our way. And, it helps us out big time. And, thank you in advance for that. Your comment or question will bump right on up to the top for anybody who's able to make a contribution. We got Sean in the chat talking about Raw and talking about our first kind of talking point of the day. He says here, I can't stay on, but just wanted to say, hey, Joe Tessitore did a very good job last night. I think he will continue to get better every week. Been a fan of his for a while. And also, Raw was very good, too. Thank you, Sean. Always good to see you in the chat, man. Appreciate you. Have a good day out there. Have a good day. I know you're a big college football fan, Sean, so hopefully you were able to kick back this weekend and take in some games. I know I was. And looking forward to the NFL season starting up here in I guess in a few days. But my Bears start up on Sunday. So we'll see what happens with that season, man. Whew. Nerve-wracking to say the least. But yeah, let's start with Joe Tessitore. That's the kind of a major talking point, major piece of news coming out of Raw. I thought he did a good job too. And let me know what else, whatever, everybody else who's in the chat here. What did you guys think? Thumbs up, thumbs down on Joe Tessitore. I thought he did very well for it being his first time out there in calling pro wrestling. I mean, yes, he has a voice there. He has like a voice that makes you take notice. I think that's important. Is a voice that makes you want to listen to him. I think that's important. The hook is, does he know what he's talking about? And so many others that have occupied his chair that were like mainstream sports guys like Adnan Virk and Jimmy Smith, like it just didn't work because it never felt like they knew the product, like that they really understood the characters and understood the storylines and were up on that. And look, Joe wasn't perfect yesterday, not by a long shot. I thought, he was trying to find his voice. I think he was trying to find his role as like a character on the show. And I don't think he needs to do that. I think he needs to make sure just to play it straight and play it serious and be like, the voice that's talking to the fans straight up. There were some positives with that yesterday. I thought, the Drew McIntyre attack on Punk, which we'll talk about more here, was, he could have like laid it on total like pro wrestling style thick of like, we don't know who it is in the mat or in like the hood. And then it reveals himself to be Drew McIntyre. But I liked how he just called out straight up, it's Drew McIntyre. Like that's what the fans saw. And I think that's what you want. That's who you want to be if you're the lead kind of babyface announcer like Joe is. So I thought he, hit the right note there. I wasn't a big fan of the open. I thought the open was a little silly with him out there kind of introducing the show. I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to make a big splash with him at this top and kind of present Raw with him as the lead voice, right? That was the goal. And I think, for better or worse, they accomplished that. I just thought it was a little over the top and a little like overindulgent, I think would be the best way to describe it. I think you want to be in the background. You want to be someone that people listen to, and you have to be someone that's credible. But you also have to be someone that doesn't demand the spotlight like that. And I thought, they kind of presented him that way to start off. Not a big deal, but that's my 2 cents. Overall, though, the biggest thing for me is it was clear he had institutional knowledge about what's going on within WWE. He knew the storylines, he knew the angles, he knew how to articulate those stories and those angles. And I thought because of that, he had a real credibility. He talked about, the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre rivalry. He was able to articulate the situation between Liv and Rhea Ripley and, Dominic Mysterio mixed in. He was able to talk about Gunther, and Sami Zayn and why that would be a big match and was able to really sell, the champions on the show too. So I just thought to that end, already out of the gate, he showed more than, the previous mainstream announcer guys that have tried to do that job. Now, he didn't have Vince McMahon producing him, which I think is a big note that you have to make. I mean, Adnan Virk had Vince, Jimmy Smith had Vince. So you got to look at both of those situations differently because Vince is Vince, and we know, how he treats announcers that are on commentary for him. So I think that's a big difference maker too. But also, again, it comes down to just knowing the product. And it seemed to me, at least for week 1 here, that Joe, really took the time to study up and train himself on the happenings of the show. And, I know he was reading some notes out there. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like if you ever look at like a baseball broadcast or like, some kind of like football broadcast or any kind of sports broadcast, they've got notes. They don't have, not everything that they say is memorized off the top of their head. So I don't mind the fact that he had notes. It's better to get your commentary right That's most important. That's the key, more so than, making it seem like it's totally off the cuff. Get it right and tell the stories the right way. Talk about things the right way. Now, he wasn't perfect. He really needed to, I think he needs to get more up to speed on the moves and more up to speed on like the pace and flow of like a big time match. But it was his first day, and I think that will come. Like that comfortability will come, and that's the key. But for the first day, first week, I think he showed that he definitely has a future in the space. Let's go to the chat on this. Jen's in there saying his Steelers, your Steelers. Jen, here's the thing. I know Justin Fields, and I know that he's not going to be your starting quarterback, and I hope that he won't be, because, man, he will just break your heart. Just break your heart. So hope for a good season for Russell Wilson. I promise you that. Jen also says here, though, I thought Joe was good for his first Raw. The show was good, and also both WWE pay-per-views this weekend rocked. Yeah. I mean, we haven't really got into that yet because we kind of missed the day. So I have a full review of Bash in Berlin over at Brass Ring Media right now. So you can head over to Brass Ring Media, our Substack page, and you can check out my review of Bash in Berlin. I'll have one up later today for NXT No Mercy too. So, make that a part of your viewing here. We won't spend too much time on it today here because, the news cycle has already passed both of those shows. But if you want kind of my thoughts on Bash in Berlin and NXT No Mercy, you can go to our Substack page and Brass Ring Media and check that out, as well as a host of other stuff and written work there. And I really hope you do. And subscribe. It's totally free to get that stuff. So thank you in advance for that. But yeah, it was a really good weekend. Jen also says here, anyone who doesn't have Vince can get it done on their own just fine. Yeah, right. I mean, like, again, yeah, you can't overstate just how different that would be with Vince on the headset as opposed to like Paul Levesque. Now, I'm sure Paul Levesque has his quirks and has his, way of doing things and conveying things, but I just don't think it's as intense or as mean-spirited as some of the reports that we've heard about Vince McMahon in that spot. So, yeah, Matthew's in here too. What's up, Matthew? Thanks you got in early today. I love that. Matthew says here, I like the new guy. And he doesn't play dumb. He knew that was Drew immediately. That's so important, because like if you're like out there and you're like you're the guy who's trying to sell the audience on the fact that it may or may not be Drew, we don't know. You just lose that credibility instantly. Because it's obvious that it's true. Why try to sell it as anything else? And by selling it as something else, it's like you're really just drinking that WWE Kool-Aid and not really speaking about what you're actually seeing and what the audience is actually seeing. And so I was glad that he had the instinct to not do that and to just call it like he saw it. And I think like long term that's going to help him. I think that's the best way as we talk it through here. He has some things that he has to get better at: moves, matches, etc. But I think some of his natural instincts were all correct. And I think that will help him long term in this role as he continues to carve out a spot for himself on the broadcast team. How cool is it that they at the top of every hour they kind of like put in like the broadcast team, kind of like who everybody was. I thought that was a really nice professional touch to the show. It's like that's straight out of like college football, straight out of the NFL when they start a broadcast, putting out like who are the people going to be hearing from, who are going to be like the foundation of the show. And they did that on Raw last night, and I thought that was a nice little touch, a nice little detail that differentiates like this era of Raw to Raw 5 years ago. I thought that was cool. All right, the other major talking point coming out of Raw this week was, of course, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. We got a Punk promo in the middle of the ring where he kind of just wipes his hands clean of Drew McIntyre. He got the win. He's ready to put it behind him. He got the bracelet back. He's ready to put that behind him, and he's ready to go after Gunther and the World Championship. I thought the promo was like more the same from Punk, in the worst way. I think a lot of it just was fine in terms of like he's going after the title, he wants to be the champion, and that's that. But a lot of like the playing to the crowd, it just seems like so not Punk-like, and therefore not landing with me. I mean, he got to where he needed to go, and that's kind of been his story on the microphone. Like he's got to where he's needed to get to, but it's a little rocky, like on the way there on the microphone. Now, the post-match attack from Drew McIntyre, I thought was excellent. I thought it was really, really well done on the part of both Punk and Drew. I mean, Punk for selling it the way that he did, and Drew for just kind of like the menacing, dangerous, violent maniac. I thought he really found his stride, like in that spot. And this was an important angle for this feud, because remember, it's 1-1, but that strap match, I mean, it did feel like, okay, storyline over. Punk got his win back. He got his bracelet. If they wanted to end it right there, they could have. They certainly had, the ability to do that, based on the story of that match and where that match went. So to extend it further, to extend the rivalry and to extend the feud further, you really had to go with something super intense in order to give Punk an actual reason to want to fight Drew McIntyre again. And I thought with this attack, they did that. And it's not just because Drew ripped the bracelet and shoved the beads in Punk's mouth before hitting him with a Claymore. It was more so just the intensity level of the attack. Like, now Punk's going to have to stand up for himself and go after Drew again one more time, even though he doesn't want to, even though he wants to go after that world title. He's not going to be able to, not with what happened to him in the back of his mind. So I just thought that was a good presentation of Drew and a home run segment from getting like from the Bash in Berlin match to presumably, I would say, like some kind of Hell in a Cell, even bigger stipulation match at Bad Blood here in a few weeks. So that was all thumbs up, and they needed a home run. And I think they got it. I think people are going to be interested in seeing another match between these two now, but they really had to give a good reason to do it, and they did. The audience was still behind Punk. They were booing Drew. So I think this is in a good spot. I think some people will definitely be out there saying, "Hey, this feud's been going on since the Royal Rumble. Like, do we really need a third match?" And I think you do. I mean, I think this match has been, just such a big part of Raw and such a big part of CM Punk's return to WWE and return to the ring that, give it a proper conclusion. Go with it one more time. It's 1-1. Got to have a rubber match. And I think this is a good way that they got there. So I give this a major thumbs up. Other happenings on Raw, we had some more Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest stuff. The main event, Damian Priest and Jey Uso beat Finn Balor and JD McDonough, thanks to the help of Rhea Ripley, who kind of ran off Liv Morgan. I mean, guys, the Rhea Ripley pops are something else. Like when she opened the show, I get it. She was the first babyface out. So that always has an increased pop, but it's hard to believe sometimes, to be frank, that just a few years ago, she was barely on the show and in a tag team with Nikki ASH. That's where Rhea Ripley was. And now she's getting some of the biggest pops in the entire company. Bigger than CM Punk, just as big, if not bigger than Cody Rhodes. The only person that I think kind of rivals her and maybe beats her at this point is Roman Reigns. And even with him, because of the new music, I think people haven't given him like that, big of that huge, Austin level pop. So she's up there, and it's pretty amazing to see. I would not be surprised to see her Liv Morgan inside of a steel cage or something like that, or Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood for the championship. That would be my guess as to what goes down between them, because it's time to do that match again. And let's see. Let me check my Raw notes here. Yeah, it was kind of a quiet night from a story perspective on Raw, but again, we hit the two big talking points. Two big talking points anyway. Let's preview NXT tonight. We've got a handful of matches. We got Trick Williams versus Pete Dunne. We've got Hank Walker and Tank Ledger against the Rascals, and Gallus in a triple threat match for a shot at the tag team titles. Or Amensa is going to take on Lexis King. So those are the three matches. We saw over the weekend that Ethan Page defeated Joe Hendry to retain the NXT championship. So they did not go with Joe Hendry. Shawn Michaels does not believe in Joe Hendry. No, I'm kidding. He totally does. He was just main evented the show. But the story there is more Ethan Page. I can't get a sense of what's going on in the main event picture on NXT right now. Like you spent a year building up Trick Williams for like a title position, and then he just kind of loses the title and loses his rematch, and now is wrestling Pete Dunne and is refereeing title matches that he's not in. Like, I just think it's been a real curious use of him. And I don't know if they're building back up to like a big signature win at like a WrestleMania NXT show, or maybe changing the title over to him like on the first, NXT episode on the CW. I mean, I think both of those are plausible possibilities. But Trick has lost some shine. He's just lost some momentum since he's kind of taken a back seat. In order for them to wait for these big moments like on the calendar. And I think that's that's hurt him. That's hurt him a little bit. So I fully expect Trick to get the win tonight, even though Pete Dunne is in that IC title match, or excuse me, number one contender match for the IC title on Raw next week. It just it just seems like Trick has to win, and if he doesn't, like that's a rough go. Or Mensa and Lexis King been building that for a bit. Nothing really going on there, and then they're gonna try to crown new number one contenders after Axiom and Nathan Frazier regained the tag team titles from Chase University. At No Mercy, we had Ridge Holland turn heel on Chase U, costing them the tag titles. I'm sure we'll get some fallout and follow up on that tonight on NXT as well. So we'll review the shows next week, or not next week. Goodness gracious, we'll review that show tomorrow right here on 1TS Daily and talk about it, and kind of get to the bottom of what they did and whether or not it was a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Cool. In the news, WWE announced WWE Week for next week on the USA Network, and I thought this was really, really interesting. It's premiere week, so they're going to treat these episodes as premiere episodes, even though we know like the show's been going on for so long, and it's brand new programming every single week, but they're going to treat this as like a regular premiere with limited commercial interruption. Now, the other interesting element of this is what's next week on Monday? Well, Monday Night Football. So WWE is back going against Monday Night Football, and this is where you see Monday Night Raw ratings always decline. Viewership declines because obviously people are watching the NFL, whether it's their team in the game or not. It's the NFL, and the NFL draws viewers big time and pulls from Raw. So I think it's interesting to see them pull out like WWE week when you're going up against the NFL for the very first time. Like, no matter what, people are going to be interested in this because it's the first week. It's not some game that has no consequence and is between two really bad teams week 13 or week 14 in a game that just doesn't matter. Even then, I think they'd still lose viewers. But week one, man, I mean, you're going to lose viewers to Monday Night Football for people that just want to see football again. And so I think it's interesting to see them kind of, take it to the NFL a bit, for lack of a better word. Like, not that the NFL is worried about them, but just, fight back, try to hold on to the viewers that they get, rather than just kind of passively put on a show or, not trot out certain things because they know they're going up against the NFL. Like, this seems like it's a calculated effort to, nope, like, we're confident in our product. We're confident in what we put out. We're confident in what we do. So have at it. We're going to go and try to, get as many viewers as we can. I think they want to try to show that they're not going to beat the NFL, obviously, no question. But can they stay somewhat to the level that they've been and not drop too much? Like, is there a way for them to drop less than they did last year when the NFL season came out? I think those are some of the metrics that we'll be watching. And I think it's interesting to see them own that and try to fight for that piece of the pie with something like WWE Week. So we'll have to see what they do with that and what comes of it. Does it work? I don't know. It remains to be seen. Also, we had Julia make her NXT debut. Her debut. Appeared after Roxanne Perez retained the NXT Women's Championship. She is now in NXT officially. And she's a great signing, man. If you guys haven't checked out some of her work, check out some of her New Japan IWGP Women's Championship matches. Check out her work in Stardom. She's got really, really good matches out there that you can find. And she's a great signing for the women's division in NXT, but also for WWE. Very high ceiling. That's the key. She's got a high ceiling. She's good in the ring. Great look. Unique. She's got big time potential. And I would not be surprised if we see her on the show tonight. Let's see. Let me go through the notes. Any other news here that I missed? No. That's it, guys. We'll wrap up there for the show this week. It's so good to be back. So good to see you guys in the chat. So good to see everybody on Twitter. Thanks so much for being here and hanging out with me today for 1TS Daily. Remember to subscribe here on our YouTube channel. Like this video if you can, and head over to Brass Ring Media. We have a YouTube channel as well. We got our strategy is to cover the business a little more long form in style. But you can check out all of our live shows. We got shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning that are different co-hosts, different types of shows, different perspectives, different scopes. But I think you'll really enjoy them. So go over to Brass Ring Media, subscribe there, and that way you won't miss anything that we do as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we also have our written work on Substack. We have a Substack newsletter that goes out every day. So check that out as well. Just search Brass Ring Media in Substack. Cool. Thank you so much, you guys. We will be back tomorrow right here, 11 Eastern with 1TS Daily. We'll talk NXT. We'll preview a big episode of AEW Dynamite ahead of All Out this weekend and all that and much, 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 much more. So thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Later.